Oh, yeah. Welcome to another WineShark Wednesday. You guys can't hear it because, we don't want to violate anybody's YouTube terms of service or other copyright stuff. But hey, little Snoop Dogg going on in WineShark's head today because, well, we've been doing that all day. I hope everybody's having a great week. Welcome to another WineShark Wednesday. It is yours truly, the WineShark, here to talk to you a little bit today. We're going to talk about wines with celebrity endorsement. And then we're going to try 19 Crimes, California, the Cali Red, featuring Snoop Dogg. Which actually, I think that's what they should have called it. As Snoop Dogg, but it didn't say featuring Snoop Dogg, which I think would be pretty freaking awesome if you ask me. Anyway, like I said, I hope everybody's doing well out there. We had a couple of days of winter here in North Texas, which was nice. We got some snow on Sunday. Nice big flaky, didn't last very long, but it was quite pretty for an afternoon, and definitely enjoyed it. So it's been cool and crisp and otherwise normal Dallas winter here. So which is kind of fun because this weekend we're doing a winter wine feature down at Reunion Tower. The event is sold out very proudly, so we're going to entertain a bunch of guests downtown, talk about warm winter wines and things that go with them. It's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm really looking forward to that. We've also got some other fun shows coming up here pretty soon. On Friday night, we're going to talk about Will It Blend Part 2, although it shouldn't be Part 2, it should be Part Dos, whatever the Italian word for two is. What is the Italian? Can't count in Italian, but it's one of those Romance languages. It's got to be close, right? Anyway, it's Tuscany. We're going to feature Tuscany, specifically Sangiovese and the grapes that are often attached to it in various different little ways. Plus, of course, for those of you that know me and have been to shows before, the Italians tend to make things both awesome and complicated when it comes to the world of wine. More complicated than it has to be. So we're going to break it down for you. We're going to talk a little bit about why, where's, and how's, and it's awesome time stuff. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and we're going to get going here. So let's see. Let's talk about celebrity wine endorsements. That's something that has been on and off the radar. We talked a little bit about it before when we talked about clean wines, but I keep getting questions about it, or I keep getting shown, hey, have you seen? So I wanted to circle back around. Plus, when I was doing the grocery store grab, this stood out on the grocery store shelves, and it's been there for a while. So of course, I wanted to give it a shot because not only is it a popular brand, the 19 Crimes brand being a very broad grocery store brand, but also, of course, attaching somebody famous to the front of your label like Snoop Dogg is going to be you're going to get a lot more attention. So I want to start talking a little about the pros and the cons of that, some of my personal thoughts, and then, of course, we'll dig up into this nice little red wine up in the hizzy. It's actually not so bad, man. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. So let's talk about celebrity endorsement. Let's talk about the good and the bad. And we're not going to talk about the ugly because I don't really want to get into that. Don't want to bring that. But we're going to start with the bad. We're going to talk about the negative side. Some of the things that what I would actually call the bulk of what you guys out there in the world see when it comes to dealing with celebrities and wine. And that is all most of us really see are name level endorsements when it comes to wine. So hello to Miss Shannon, says hi in the chat there. Guys, don't feel free to say hello in the chat. I'll respond to your questions when I get a chance. But yeah, celebrity endorsement is really all about the basic marketing line. If you like celebrity X, you will also like what they like, right? That's the bottom line premise behind the marketing. And the reality is, both Nielsen and the London School of Marketing studies show that, yeah, it's actually pretty true. We are influenced so many times a day by marketing messages that it is kind of frightening if you really start digging into it. Something like 3,000 plus images a day, and even those of us that are in or have been in the marketing world as professionals like to think of ourselves as immune to it. We aren't. There's a lot of subconscious stuff that goes along in there. And the reality is putting somebody recognizable to you as a person on a product, either their name, their likeness, etc., it brings the product at least one step closer out of your decision-making process. The thing works. And especially when in absence of other things, it's the next best thing to a friendly endorsement. And I mean by that, an endorsement by a friend, relative, loved one. Those are always very, very strong when it comes to making suggestions for purchases and things like that. So the fact is, it does work. But um, I read in researching this, and like I said, I've done a lot of personal research. I've done some specific for this show, some stuff that I did back when we talked about clean wines. But there's a great article actually back from 2017 called "All Celebrity Endorsed Wine May as Well Be Just Called Who Cares What It Tastes Like Wine." Which is an interesting premise. And the article actually kind of winds into things a little bit deeper about just the idea of celebrity, etc., and how that trend has gone on for years, and it will no doubt continue. Everyone from Hollywood stars to worldwide wrestling to social media stars to music stars, all the names in there have wine brands associated with them, whether they are labels that they're just loaning their name to, or people that have gotten highly involved in the creative process. This is just something that is part of the winemaking landscape. So the first question you might ask is, other than that obvious marketing line, is, well, why? Well, the first why does tie into the marketing, and that is money is money. Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money. Danny DeVito in a quote from the excellent David Mamet film Heist. This is a two-way street, right? The brand of wine is hoping to capitalize on sales because of the celebrity endorsement, and the celebrity, of course, is counting on sales to get them cash, right? I mean, remember, it's a job, not being a celebrity per se, and I don't really find that celebrity as a job is much worthwhile. But anybody in those above professions who is famous because of what they do, uh, they're there to make money. It's a job, and there's wise business choices that can be made from those affiliations. Number two, celebs can be wine fans too. Celebs are often exposed to a lot of the finer things in life, wine being one of those luxuries that comes around. Many, stars get very enamored of wine from a particular place. I mean, we've talked, for instance, about back in the Chateau Miraval, Brad and Angelina, falling in love with a wine in the Côte de Provence. Now, not every one of us is running off to the Côte de Provence for the summer, but if you've got the means and fall in love with the wines, and then you decide, well, screw it, we love it so much, let's buy a winery of it. That must be pretty nice, right? And it's not how the other half lives, but celebrity wine fans, because they really fall in love with the product, can have and do make influential and very interesting products. And of course, their celebrity certainly helps them stand out in the hundreds of thousands of wine marketing messages we're exposed to over the course of a year. And what do we talk about? 40,000 plus United States wineries, let alone those abroad. The other factor is just simple. I mean, I must also wonder: are you just bored, right? You get bored with your own thing. You're like, I've got the means. I'm gonna throw in and mess around with wine because I dig wine, and that's fun. So, saying hello to Miss Reba. Scott said, went to one of Snoop's concert in the early 2000s. Hang on, we're gonna save my Snoop Dogg stories for later. But yes, never felt more out of place, but it was a blast. Oh, I've got you beat, sister. But I'll get there. We'll talk about Snoop in a minute. Anyway, so the other part about this, though, is remembering, again, my take on things and my world here. This is one of those things of, I'm not just here about, it's a business too, right? And we all know that the wine world ranges everywhere from the common and everyday up to the ultra luxury and everywhere in between. The reality of a lot of these wines is that I would refer to them kind of as a guilty pleasure. They're fun, right? And I am certainly all about having fun when it comes to wine. I am, as long as the product gives the experience for the price. Meaning, if it's a $10 wine who's selling somebody's name to sell a $10 wine and they're not pretending it's not a $10 wine, kick ass, right? I want you to make the best $10 wine you can and market it as such. And if it's got your face on it and that sells more bottles, well, whew, kick ass. On the other hand, don't try and sell me a $10 wine at a $20 price point just because your mug is on it, right? Because star power is part of your marketing budget. That to me is disingenuous, and generally speaking, you're not going to get a lot of traction in the world here. Just to skip ahead a bit, I mean, the reality is nearly none of these celebrity endorsed wines that you see are really much considered as serious contenders in the wine industry. You're not going to see these wines on, on a sommelier curated wine list at the next fancy restaurant you go to. Now you might see them at your local TGI Cheddar Chili Bees, but you're not going to see them as well rated wines and a lot of things. Now we're going to get to the good a little bit later, where we'll talk more about that. But you heard me talk about this when the topic of natural wine came around. And I spoke very specifically about celebrity endorsement and linking to flat out false claims, fear-based marketing, and pseudoscience. And that's one of the things that I really can't stand. If you're a celebrity who gets behind the nonsense marketing that is so prevalent in the wine world, then I really can't help but think, what the hell is your brand doing for itself? And I mean, not the wine brand, I mean you and your personal brand. If you're willing to sell your name to something that you can't like, basically that high school level science can't prove to be incorrect and inaccurate, well, then you deserve to have your name dragged down with that. Because frankly, that stuff is not only doing the wine drinker and the common wine enthusiast no helpful favors, but it's also perpetrating, pseudoscience and bad lies. So no good comes of that kind of BS. But remember, when I said a minute ago, these wines are not going to be serious contenders on wine lists. But hang on, that's also not their purpose. In the same way that many grocery store level wines and that you're going to see out there in the world are not designed and are not attempting to compete with the product that they're producing with those wines that are up there being rated in the Spectator, etc. Now you're going to see a lot of wines in that middle range. I mean, get rated. Don't get me wrong, but especially when you get into the value and super value level of wines, you're not seeing them even considered in the same class. Right, so they're not going to be there. Robert Parker's not picking up a bottle of 19 Crimes in here and going, hey, well, I mean, what do I think about Snoop? So that's not their goal. So I think it's unfair to compare them if that's not the point. In other words, if you're not aiming at that target, of course you're going to miss it. So screw that. It's lifestyle marketing. This is the other part. One of the things I think is great about this, and this will transition us slowly into what's good about this, is perhaps it opens up wine to a customer who's not normally considering drinking wine. Especially when it comes to the wine we're drinking tonight, the Snoop Dogg Cali Red. This is an opportunity for a crowd who is not known to have fine wine tastes, or worse, not have access to. There's been a whole lot of talk in the world about accessibility to products and the way that they're marketed and how racially biased things can be. This is a great example of kind of breaking it down. I read an article that was kind of pro-con on that too. Is this exploitative? Is Snoop really into wine, and is this something he's doing? Because one of the cool parts is he does a lot of philanthropy with the money that is earned via 19 Crimes, and so that goes into legal defense funds for wrongly convicted people, and it does its own little level of good. So on the one hand here, we've got people who recognize him, maybe they're willing to give it a try. Second thing is you've got some philanthropy going on in the background. There's some measurable good, or an arguable good on that side. On the flip side, is Snoop really serious about wine? Is he getting involved in the making, creation, and the long-term success of the world of wine? He might be a fantastic wine consumer. I mean, in Drop It Like It's Hot, the line is, I got the rollie on my arm and I'm pouring the Chandon. I mean, he's been drinking. That, by the way, is refers to Moet Chandon, a champagne. So that it's not like he's not been exposed to some of the badass product of the world, right? So unlike, say, I don't know, some nameless rapper who I refuse to name who bought and made a label called Ciroc, maybe he goes the other direction and says, screw it, I want to make wine accessible. I'm gonna help out with this label. This is, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in the grocery store grab, but 19 Crimes, remember, is an Australian brand name. 19 Crimes referring to the 19 crimes that could get you expatriated to Australia during that particular colonial period of England's history. And so this is their first California wine, and we're going to talk about that, like I said. So his representation with that and that kind of attachment to the crime point was one of the negative things. I'm like, well, okay, if you're exposing the black market to wine and wine drinking, but you're putting the face of crime associated because it's that problematic state. But the reality is Snoop has become a mainstream, Martha Stewart friendship, high-fiving, cooking show, gospel show making guy. And I don't think that there is a negative connotation, at least from my perspective. Again, maybe I'm not that target market, but the reality is, I mean, as a sommelier and as an industry person, I'm going, bravo, bring it on. And again, play at the level, that you want to play at. bring your wine and do something awesome. And so rock on. So, in the first year alone, 100K, donated in philanthropy. That's definitely something I'm not seeing out of some other of these celebrity wine things. So that I think is a mitzvah. That's a cool thing that we're going to do going forward. So let's dive a little into the other good, right? Generally speaking, one of the things that if you have to ask yourself a question about celebrity endorsements in the world of wine is that is the star the point or is the wine the point? If it's a job and not a side hustle, if the wine is the focus and not you, the star, in a way just to get your name out there, then you're probably doing it right. And I'm going to call out two very specific examples in two very different ways. One, probably the most widespread and widely known, is Francis Ford Coppola and the Coppola wineries. There's an example where the Coppola Diamond Series is a common grocery store mid-value level wine that you can find widely across the country. But there's a much, much deeper connection to wine there than just his daughter Sophia had a bubbly California sparkler in a can that famously came in this short modeled can with a tiny little straw on it, so you wouldn't mess up your lipstick while you were clubbing with this wine. Again, very marketed towards a specific demographic and audience, but there's far more to it than just the Diamond Collection, the Director's Cut Zinfandel, which, by the way, totally rules, and the wines that you see at the grocery store. Story begins back in 1975. Coppola's kind of at the height of his film career, and he had a lifelong dream of getting a vacation and family home in the Napa Valley, which I can totally respect because it's a beautiful place, and he always loved wine. His grandfather used to make wine in his basement growing up, and so this search for a vacation slash dream home became a full-fledged business dream. The place that they bought, the Niebaum estate, was Niebaum Mansion, was part of the former Inglenook Empire. Now, Inglenook is a name that dates back to the very roots of Napa's wine growing. I'm talking the name was founded in 1848, with the first planting being harvested in 1878. So this Inglenook is a California icon, and they had gone through some ups and downs, some financial troubles, and when they divided the estate, they divided basically about 1,500 acres that they saved for the family, and then they sold off the rest. Well, Coppola went and bought this personal piece. A little bit later, he goes on to basically purchase the entire thing and reunite it in 1995. But to give you a sense of scale of the fact that this was not one of those he walked in and slapped his name on it so that he could sell some wine. The business name became Niebaum Coppola. However, the brand name of Inglenook still remained for many years. And in fact, he then brought in a man named Andrei Chelichev. Andrei Chelichev is considered, and this is straight off of his wiki page, America's most influential post-prohibition winemaker. That's saying something in the likes of the names of people like Robert Mondavi and a lot of the families that make the heritage of California really what it was. But Andrei Chelichev was the brain and behind a lot of this stuff. He's an amazing enographer and winemaker. He worked for brands like Below, Jordan, Heitch, Gergich, Buena Vista, Erath, Chateau Saint Michel over the course of his career. I mean, the guy has had his fingers on a lot of people's pie and taught them the best thing. He's also kind of iconically known for bringing the California style of Cabernet Sauvignon to be what it is. Largely considered the father of that type of wine. And so if you think California and Big Cab is what made it famous, that's a pretty big thing. So to bring in that master winemaker into the operation to restore it to its former glory is a big damn deal. In 2006, he opened up the Sonoma location for the Coppola Winery. Now, the Coppola Winery, if you go to their website and take a look at their thing, their kind of motive and operation really dates back to some of Coppola's fond memories of the fantasy worlds and getaway parks of places like Coney Island and these pleasure parks of the days gone past, his very young memories. And so it is actually built as a destination place, not just a winery, but a place to go take the family and enjoy the day and really, I mean, I don't think there's a roller coaster there, but you get the point that certainly it's the idea of really taking a relaxing estate type view to things. And this is also a venue for his his wines that are not attached to the Inglenook name. But he still has an active part in the world of Inglenook, which is an excellent producer there in the Napa Valley. So here we're talking about this is a long-standing effort, not just a dabble, right? We're not just talking about a celebrity throwing his name at something. Now, you might certainly agree, and I would certainly agree that the statement that when he put his Coppola line out there, he was putting his name behind his new brand to get it a jumpstart. Absolutely. But it isn't like the guy didn't have the chops, the heritage, and the know-how to know exactly what's going on, at least from the business perspective. So, my big hats off to that concept of celebrity when it comes to, the big wine world. Second, let's talk about the owls in the woods. For those of you that are David Lynch fans and fans of the very awesome series of Twin Peaks, Kyle MacLachlan, who also was the star of many other things, but probably one of the most iconic roles. Kyle MacLachlan is actually from Washington State, Yakima Valley, a great wine producing region. And she basically took his fame and had always kind of, even when he was working in Hollywood at the peak of his fame, he would go back to Washington State and visit back home and try wines and be involved and kind of was always in love with the area, which is something I can truly kind of identify with personally. Like I said, I wasn't in the wine industry when I was a child and when I lived in California, but it had a very big effect on things that I romanticized, places that I fondly remember, places that I certainly have fallen in love with and am still in love with today. And so he took his fame, went back, and decided to get his hands in the soil and became a winemaker and the owner and vintner of Pursued by Bear Wines. This is a kind of a different take on things. So this is somebody taking their individual fortune and starting a business. Now, winemaking ain't cheap. I'm here to tell you, and especially if you're going to purchase land and want to do it from soil to sale, it's a whole different thing. So, but still, he got involved with people that knew what the hell they were doing, right? Took their grand advice, but he's an example of somebody who really got into the nitty gritty details. I mean, I said he is a vintner and owner according to their own website. He has an active part in the making and creation of his wines. I don't know that Coppola does that anymore, and there's some great pictures in his history of him actually pulling grapes in the crush and the harvest. But this is certainly a modern example of a celebrity who's involved with their product more than just the tasting portion, right? They're not just lending their palate to something. He's lending his palate and his work and a lot more. And I think that's really fascinating and cool. This, on the other hand, though, is a small production affair. Okay, while the wines are very critically acclaimed, we've got wine spectator ratings in the 90s. We're talking about wines that are playing around the $70 price point. They're a limited edition and club style winery. They're not something you're going to see running around your grocery stores or even your specialty stores anytime soon. I'm fairly certain that they're probably a list only winemaker. Now, cool part is because I have been had a love affair with Washington State this year, or well, last year, and it will extend into this year. I've signed up for their list, so maybe we'll get to try some. Although you guys know my philosophy, well, I'm wildly excited to share any awesome wine I have with you. I am always very careful about sharing wines that are hard to get because I wouldn't like it if somebody told me, "Man, I had the greatest thing, but you can't have none." But I don't know, maybe we'll get a feature on them as a celebrity endorsed and celebrity created wine in the future. I think it'd be kind of neat, especially because, well, he makes a Petite Syrah and a Syrah, and I'm all about those types of grapes because, well, goodness lives there. Anyway, so those are some of the good points, I think, about celebrity wines. When you really kind of get involved in your product, anything can set it be. It isn't then it becomes not about your celebrity. Your celebrity is just a bonus round when it comes to people taking your call, and that's certainly to be lauded. So I encourage you guys to seek out winemakers that you may know of that are in that line. But just because it's got a famous person on it, I would be very careful of trusting it. So speaking of famous people, bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay. Let's go get into some of this here wine. I'm drinking the Wizzy. All right, so the grocery store grab, ladies and gentlemen. The grocery store grab, for those of you that are new to the channel, the premise is to get the best value per dollar for wines found at non-specialty and non-big box retailers. For those that don't have the opportunity to have some of those, many of us in common grocery store level wines are where we make our choices. And it can be an interesting landscape. Fraught with overpriced wines and a whole lot of different array of things. And so if you're new to wine or you're just trying things out, the grocery store grab is meant to help you teach you how to choose wines, how to experience them through us, but most importantly, to reward well-labeled wines that tell us just what the hell is in that bottle and before we pick it up. Now, unfortunately, today's example is not a very good example of that. The fact is, Snoop on the label is what got us to buy this bottle because we just had that whole discussion on that. So we're all kind of cool with that. Let's talk a little bit about it. This is the 19 Crimes Cali Red. This is the first 19 Crimes wine, who is a Australian winemaker, to be made from California grapes. In fact, any foreign grapes for them, as far as I know. So this is their first not made here at home type of wine. 19 crimes, of course, as I said earlier, refers to the 19 crimes that could get you expatriated to Australia, and especially for things that were very petty and minor to build their penal colony. It was kind of a whole shit show, if you ask me, and if you ask most of the Australians. So, anyway, this is the 19 Crimes Cali Red endorsed, brought to you by Snoop Dogg. This is always I always thought this was an interesting opportunity. Not only, by the way, with the changes in our current, social structure, etc., with the legalization of cannabis in a lot of places, I was actually surprised they didn't hold out for a THC-infused wine. But hey, I guess the Australians got to Snoop first, so there you has it. Its list price is $18 at the club level price. With a discount, it was down to $10 and change. So this is a $10 wine, kind of very middle of the road value range in the grocery store range. When we look at the labels on our wines, what we want to know is what's in the bottle. Where are the grapes grown? What does the wine taste like? What can I expect out of the wine if I haven't ever tried it before? And I don't do any prior research on these wines. I did have to do a little with this because I wanted to talk about the celebrity thing. So, pardon me, you're going to get a little bonus round with some extra pieces of information that frankly should be on the label, and I will bitch accordingly at that time. So, front of the label, what do we got? In fact, actually, I'm going to hold up the bottle for you. We're actually going to switch to the label. Here's my man Snoop and his 19 Crimes Cali Red. I love 19 Crimes has got a very catchy and edgy sort of labeling system. They've experimented and played around with living labels. They have they're trying to do a very good job, and they're competing in a highly competitive market to stand out from other things. So for being in the grocery store market, one of the things that they often look like is that the labels will look like a rap sheet. They'll have redacted sections, things like that. So you can see, Snoop Dogg's name is sort of scribbled out. It does have its ABV on the front and its origin of California. It tells us it is Cali Red, and it's dated. This is a 2019 vintage that is cleverly disguised in the 0219 down here in the right hand corner. Okay, so that's this is the front of the label. Here's the back of the label, though. Usually this is where we want to see the wine talk to us about what the heck's going on into the wine, okay? Right? So here on the back, we've got 19 Crimes Cali Red. 19 Crimes tells us the true story of the rule breakers who beat the odds, overcame adversity, and went on to become folk heroes in their society. This spirit lives on today through the innovators and culture creators like Cali's own Snoop Dogg. A leader in contemporary pop culture, Snoop embodies the timeless values of the 19 Crimes rogues who came before him. To learn more about this and similar wine stories, please visit us at 19crimes.com. Composition, red wine. Origin, California. Actually, here on my label, it says 14.1 alcohol by volume, and mine is labeled the same. So the image that I pulled from the internet there is inaccurate compared to the bottle in my hand. So there you got it. But This is what I jokingly refer to as the, well, no shit Sherlock name. It contains red wine. No, really. Oh, I'll be damned. I guess that's what we should be expecting. No, honestly, the weird part is when I was looking up stuff regarding Snoop Dogg's involvement with the wine and as part of the celebrity notes. It's actually a 65% Petite Syrah, 30% Zin, 5% Merlot blend. Why the hell they wouldn't put that on the label? Because they're wanting to be taken as a serious red wine is beyond me. Because guess what? This is a Petite Syrah heavy wine. That's kind of critical. If you like this wine, if you dig Snoop Dogg's red, I want you to be able to go out and find more things like it. And you see that Petite Syrah label, that's your way of expansion, right? I mean, people are going to go, oh, I like that wine, but I don't know why. And that is something that I think is very bad in the red blend world. That is non-transparency, and it's not good for wine growth. It's not good to help people continue their journey in wine. And guess what, 19 Crimes? This isn't the last wine you're going to try and sell to them. And every time you're going to have to, if they don't like your brand and you don't have Snoop, you're going to have to reconvince them why. Hey, hey, hey. All right, I think we're back. We're checking a thing. I'm going to see where this ended, figure it out. I'm going to watch the screen. But thank you if you're still here for hanging around. Although Rob said that THC enhanced wine seems to be risking toenail loss. Nice. Nice. Come on, we're not asking. At least it's not some bullshit CBD oil kind of thing. So there we go. All right, everybody's good to go. We can see me again. Rock on. So, anyway, that was a whole like thing right there. Anyway, so where were we? Oh yes, we were bashing their labeling because 19 Crimes was screwing it up. So we know what's in the bottle. Where is it grown? It's grown in California. Okay, cool. Now that, by the way, is not a strike against them. That means it's just a broad area of AVAs. That happens, and at this level of grocery store wine, that is not uncommon. So that's not a strike against them. Rock on. What does the wine taste like? No friggin' idea. They didn't put any of that on there anywhere. It tastes like crime. What are we doing? Crime. So anyway, here we go. It tastes like crime. So anyway, this is definitely at least they refer you to their website to learn more, I guess. But this is like a D-level effort. Other than the fact that they've got their celebrity endorsement on the front, they did a shit job of telling you why you want to buy this wine. So be better. Do better. 19 Crimes, you actually have a better story than this. Be better. Stop being so, stop trying to be so edgy and be kind of edgy practical. I know you can do it. I believe in you. So anyway, let's talk about taste though. I've already been drinking some of this wine, and by the way, it ain't bad. You know, it's got a little. First off, I'm a Petite Syrah fan, and I think introducing Petite Syrah to the red blend wine market is a great idea because it's a big, rich, velvety red. It is very easily approachable for people that want a dark and intense red wine experience. So, plus you throw in Zinfandel and a little Helvingham Merlot here. It smells like big, dark fruit. It's got kind of a dark plum, dark cherry note. There's a definite hint of that spiciness of oak in there. I'm not sure whether they're staving or actually putting things in barrel. I would bet staving, but that's my cynical nature speaking. And then as far as the mouthfeel is concerned, it's got a real big grip, but it's a very velvety grip because it's softened by fruit, right? It's got this all around the mouth, dark cherry and dark plum, even a little bit of sweet plum jam kind of thing. Well, this wine is not sweet. It presents in this softness malolactically across your palate. So it's got that kind of buttery, smooth, velvety nature, which again, it doesn't have that ripping grip that a lot of big red wines are known for, especially in the lower end market. So they're doing the wine style right. If they're going to pick new people to wine who've never tried it out and they're just looking for a cool grocery store wine, and they go, hey, look at Snoop wine, we'll buy it on a gag. I'm betting that if they're not wildly snooty connoisseurs, they're going to be like, ah, this doesn't do any harm, right? It's a jam bomb, fuzz bomb. It's not, and that's the thing, it's not claiming to be anything but, right? It doesn't tell us anything like what it's supposed to taste like. So, I mean, other than crime, right? We already discussed that. So, is it well executed? Yeah, I'd say definitely a C plus on the execution. There's nothing fine about this. It's kind of it's a monodimensional jam hammer, but so You know, I'm not asking. We're also not asking Snoop Dogg to sing opera. So let's stay within our lane. Anyway, is it on style? Sure. What's the style? Snoop Dogg style, red blend style. If you told us that it was Petite Syrah, we could make that comparison, especially a Petite Syrah Zin blend. But this would be squarely in and may. Although I don't think this wine in particular will feature. This is exactly what I will be talking about when I talk about that new style California red blend. They are easily approachable, soft tanned, jam flavored, fruit forward wines. They are designed to get people to like red wine, right? Especially people who may be reserved about that, who may have a trepidation, so to speak. So, is it on style? No. Is it worth the price tag? For $10? Sure, why not? Dude, you got a Snoop Dogg wine for $10. Cannot complain. Totally drinkable $10 wine, non-specific, not going to write to anybody like, oh my God, call the Pope, get the Vatican on the horn. We've got to have this wine in next communion. It's not going to be like that or anything, but still, it is a solid $10 level of wine that I would drink again without hesitation. I will likely continue to drink for the rest of this show. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not a THC infused wine, but I'm sure we'll get there. Believe me, that stuff's bound to happen. Put pot in anything. So, anyway, let's see. Check in with the chat. Everybody said hello. Oh, screw that guy downstairs who's honking for no reason. And let's see, what else have we got? So let's talk. I mean, first off, Q&A section is open. Any questions, of course, that you guys have, I am welcome to answer there in chat. Also, if you guys have got new ideas as far as shows concerned, you know, I'm always looking for topics for the show. So coming soon, though, while you guys are catching up with your Q&A. Friday night, we're going to do Will It Blend Part 2, Tuscany. We're going to visit the area of central Italy and talk about the Sangiovese-based blends. The Will It Blend concept, I'm very, very gracious to David Thomas, who asked for the idea, because it opens up a nice long series of things. I mean, blending wines is a deep topic with a lot of options to talk about. It is certainly not something I can do in one show. So I've got about 2 more ideas, including this one. No, not inclusive of this one. So no, total of 3 more shows of the blend series. We talked about the style of the Côte du Rhône blends, right, or the Rhône style blends up and down the Rhône River. Now we're going to hop over the other east to the east and talk about Italy and the Italian blending tradition. We're going to definitely have to get to Bordeaux, which is kind of king of the blends that, you know, we're even going to touch on that Tuscany tried to imitate, the Super Tuscans. And then at the very least, we've got to go to California, talk about Meritage, modern red blending tradition, and things like that. And that's without even touching on some of the detailed spots. We could also do an entire Spanish blend tradition and etc. So it's a very topic, very interesting from a wine understanding perspective. This is definitely what I would probably call a 2-grape topic. Some people just want to drink good wine. Totally cool with that. But this is the next levels why. This is what goes into that and why this is special. In Italy, for instance, this is a great conversation we're going to get to have against modernity versus tradition. We're going to get to have big oak versus little oak. We're going to have to do with Nobody Loves Your Uncle. And we're going to do with Italian wine complications, swearing in foreign languages. It'll be delightful. So I really hope to see you on Friday night. It's a 3-bottle night, but don't feel free to drink all of them. Get you, Rob Hamlin. But to say the least, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we had to do those 3 because we had to have that level of topicality. Then we got later in the month, actually Saturday night, we've got the show downtown. So Winter Wine Special at Reunion Tower. We have sold out, I'm afraid. So thank you to all the people who got tickets. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you guys downtown and drinking some awesome winter wines. We're going to talk about warm wines. We're going to talk about food pairing traditions. We're going to talk about, just some of the coolness that comes along with wine shaming. I'm not doing any wine shaming. I was just telling you don't have to drink all 3. Anyway, but let's see what else we got. Wine and cheese, part 8, because that's an awesome tradition that will always and forever continue. And this is the light side of the force. Basically, we're going to talk about some gentle, lighter cheeses. We've been doing all this big, hearty winter fare for a couple of months now. And I know winter is still right dead in the middle of it. But on the other hand, let's talk about some lighter white wines, some lighter cheeses to go with. What is the delicate side of things, and how do we navigate those things rather than hitting things with the big strong cheese hammer and the strong wine that goes with it? What do we do on the lighter side, and how do we play with delicacy? So that's going to be good stuff. Reba's asking, does anybody have Snoop's cookbook? Is that the one that he collaborated with Martha Stewart? Because that would be awesome. I mean, I have seen him on some cooking shows with Miss Martha. The felons got to stick together, man. OGs all the time. You got to do that. She don't snitch. She hold hard. She roll deep. And, hey, Snoop was acquitted, so it's cool. Anyway, yeah. So wine and cheese part 8. That's the 29th, I want to say. Let's see. Yes, the 15th is this. 14 more days is 29. So that'd be the 29th. Tickets are available on Eventbrite if you guys want to join us. You would be welcome, of course. We're going to be working on some other WineShark topics. So, he has one of his own, not even a collaboration, Reba says. Well. All right. Well, is it just strictly good old-fashioned, stuff that from crook to cook? Well, all right. See, now I'm all about that. A good cookbook is certainly always welcome in this house, and it gives great ideas. So I have to check that out. I mean, I want to see what awesome things does Snoop Dogg like. Reba, if you've got the thing, I'm guessing that you have this, so you need to share with the crowd something that you've tried, or whether you're just curious like the rest of us. So. Because that's the thing. I mean, we talk about cookbooks and cooking. I mean, I think most people have a cooking tradition in their families, right? I mean, in some way, level, shape, or form, no matter where you are on the spectrum, you got some level of cooking, and therefore sharing that with people, especially when it's a very intimate thing, because you're talking about a part of your life and a part of your memory. So, Reba says she does not have it yet. Well, all right. So that is an experimental question mark. We don't know whether the crook or cookbook is good yet. That's a lot of books in the thing there, so that's a little weird. It said, for a quick review, it's stuff like chicken and waffles and the official gin and juice recipes. I could not think of a higher endorsement for a gin and juice recipe than Snoop's very own sipping on gin and juice. So I'm all down. He could also tell you how to specifically pop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, and park it like it's hot. So, anyway, so cooking books. I'm all about the good cookbooks. That is, I think, something that everybody should share. Shannon says, did I drink anything special during the Texas blizzard? It was one afternoon. It wasn't even we didn't really even have a Texas blizzard yet this year, Shannon. But I will say this. Sunday afternoon, I did not crack open anything except some bourbon. I did not drink anything special in the wine world. Although the things I've been enjoyed over the holidays. We had some excellent choices. We had also some no-go choices. Had a wine that was a potential for bringing up to the show that will not be named, that will not be making the show. So I'm not going to be talking about it. But anyway, it's a name that rhymes with flack and Ryman, but don't bother with that Zinfandel. It wasn't that good. So I had a generically jammy, overpriced Zin. Had some really good Zinfandel from Dry Creek. We had some amazing wines from San Clement with our holiday meal. So we had some. Oh, Shannon says that it's as close to a blizzard as you can get. That's not true. We've had worse here, and you know it. We've had shut the whole city down and everybody lying inside because got to cancel fair and go drinking. So, and for those of you from Faircrowd, it was during rehearsals, so you didn't have to cancel. Anyway, but needless to say, the whole idea of the awesome wines over winter thing is really settling in. So we had a standing rib roast for holiday feast with family, and it was wonderful, tasty, and we enjoyed some San Clemente wines, some club wines. We also found out that San Clemente is no longer in existence in its San Clemente name, which was a little bit sad. So some of the collection that we have there is at its peak of maturity, and we are making sure to imbibe it at all Boswell functions because, well, when you go to Chateau Boswell, you always receive awesome wine, courtesy of Mrs. Boswell herself. So it's amazing stuff. So, closest to the blizzards you can get. I love it. Yeah, I did speak at the beginning of the show about the little bit of snow that we had, and it was beautiful. I have a third floor condo here, so I was sitting at this very computer, goofing off with some friends from online, and big snowy, huge flakes were flowing down. It was very, very pretty, and unfortunately didn't last long enough. The frisky dogs got to go out in the snow for just a brief bit, and they enjoyed it, although did not. Laszlo was his first snow, did not really quite know how to deal with it. He's not as, unfortunately, because he has the North American albino spotted menace, you can't really see the snow on him so much, but it always sticks on Tugo's back, which was amusing as he shook it off. So this is good stuff. Yes, I know. Now he's also giving me the look right now like he wants to be on camera. Anyway, so we've got lots of fun things coming up in the near future. I'm very excited to share some of those coming through. Also, for my Patreon members, the content survey will be coming soon. I've been busy trying to get this weekend event planned, so I hadn't had a chance to finish it yet. I just barely got caught up with getting videos up, and I still owe you tasting notes. And I've got the first draft of, I said, the first actual finished draft of the tasting notes thing done. So all of these cool benefits that I've been trying to promise, the glory of all things. So, but yes, to answer Shannon's question, the doggos loved the snow as limited as it was. The sad part is, the sad part is our field that used to exist right next to us is being torn up because they're putting up new townhomes next door. So we don't have an immediate dog space, and that means we normally go to the dog park for doggy-free roam time. And we do a park, but when the park is closed because of inclement weather, it means we did not get a wild free roam time. So we only had limited walkie-aroundy bits in the snow. So they were not on full frisk mode. They were only on minorly, partially frozen frisky mode, which is about 3 dials down. Yes, I love you too. Anyway, the content survey, as I said, will be coming through. So if you guys have the motivation to, and no further questions for me, you can go ahead and comment on the videos once they're posted. We are always looking for comments that drive content. So if you've got questions on that, don't hesitate to ask. Also, do you have a guilty pleasure of a celebrity wine, beer, or spirit? I've got a few myself, but they're certainly not a guilty pleasure. But check it out in the comments and let us know whether you like George Clooney's whiskey or Snoop Dogg's wine or Ryan Reynolds gin. It's all good in the hood. So if you like what we're doing, like and subscribe to the channel. Share with a wine-loving friend. Love to continue growing and sharing our wine message with the world. And of course, if you really like what we're doing, check us out over on Patreon. There's exclusive benefits, bonus content, and cool things involved in the world of wine. You get a lot more of the stuff that I do for work, meaning the wine parts of this, in your inbox and accessible to an entire wine library of group type wine knowledge. So very good stuff to be had over there. All right, so folks, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thank you for sticking with me through the technical difficulty there. I'm hoping that this one live stream ends up in one final video, but who knows? YouTube and all those other fun, crazy things. So if not, we'll recreate it and we'll talk about the topic again. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys have an excellent evening. I will see some of you down at the WineShark at Reunion Tower. And until next time, I've been your WineShark. Cheers. Snoop Doggy Dog. Bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay bow wow wow yo yippee yay.